All right, Peter Nelson from Nelson Nursery and Water Gardens and Skip Richter, host of Gardenline, are answering your questions. We have Felicia on the line this morning. Good morning, Felicia.
How are you guys?
Doing well. What's your plant problem?
So I have an elephant ear outside, and the inside of the plant leaf is turning yellow, and there's like holes that are developing around it.
Ooh. All right, so elephant ears, they're so nice because you get like a big, green presence there. But
huge leaves.
All right, so what do you think?
Are you saying the leaves on the inside of the plant, or on a plant,
Yes.
a leaf, the inside of that leaf is turning?
The inside of that leaf.
Oh, that leaf. Okay, that sounds nutrient to me. So I would get a good complete fertilizer and give it a shot, water it in, and see if that fixes it. The holes are either a beetle or a caterpillar, possibly a slug or snail. Maybe a grasshopper eating the holes. If you go out and look and don't see them, turn the leaves over. Some of them hide underneath. If you still don't see them, go out at night with a flashlight. Some pests are nocturnal. You may catch them in the act. Once you know what it is, then you can figure out what to do about it.
Yeah. And what do you do? I mean, you pluck one off, but then another one comes, and if you're using something to kill them, some things can be beneficial in the garden too,
Yes,
right? So
that's true. Yeah.
What do we do?
Once you can find out what it is, we'll determine, the best way to
What you use?
Yeah.
Okay.
But in terms of the yellowness, I agree with Skip. I think it probably needs some form of nutrients to get it green back up.
All right. Monica says the grass around my gas meter keeps dying, but the utility company says there isn't a leak. What else could be causing that one area to turn brown?
Could be reflected heat. Those meters are metal, and if it's sitting in the sun, that thing's going to get incredibly hot, and that's going to radiate that heat out. Have we heard of utility companies spraying some weed killer around meters? I've heard of that, so that's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of a Sherlock Holmes where we start reaching for straws, but when they dug things up to do the meter, maybe some subsoil clay got brought up to the top, and it's not as nice as the soil in the yard. And I mean, but we're reaching for straws.
Yeah. But it's an interesting point when you say the gas meter, because we even look at this during the winter time where we say, okay, what's located closer to the house where you might have a drop in the temperature, right? Something next to the gas meter might be a little bit
warmer.
A little bit warmer there. All right, Camille, what can I plant in late summer to bring more butterflies, bees, and hummingbirds into my yard?
Wow.
Oh, you just smiled there, right? Yeah, that's a great line.
How much time do we have?
Yeah.
What are your favorites?
That Esperanza is a good one that will bloom all through the year and do really well for hummingbirds. Any of the salvias, Peter was showing me this, is that maybe Mystic Spires?
That's Mystic Spires.
The blue salvias. The Salvia garnitica is another one. I was standing in front of mine and a hummingbird flew up 2 feet from my face, and we stared at each other for a minute, but he's there for that plant, so that would be a good one.
Yeah, and then so butterflies and bees.
Yeah, and it's true that typically tubular-shaped flowers are best for those.
For the hummingbirds, yeah.
So then, like even the pentas, we looked at those earlier, and then bees really flowers in general.
Yeah, African blue basil bees love that. It's a big old basil bush that they love. There's a lot of bee flowers, and then the butterflies.
Monarch butterflies.
For the monarchs, the milkweed.
Yeah.
For the Gulf fritillary, the passion vine, they love that. Yeah. Each butterfly, you can go online and look, but each butterfly has certain favorites, and you got to give its babies something to eat, which is what this is. That's why the monarchs come to this, is for their
All right, Peter, there's one plant in particular you brought that flies are not fond of. I always love going to your place because you can find just plants that you just never really see often, right? And so this one right here, let me lift that up so you can see, look what's hanging there. Okay, tell us about that right there.
This is Nepenthes?
Nepenthes,
yeah. This will bring in, typically this is in Houston grown as an interior plant. So this goes over your kitchen sink, for example, because maybe that's where flies are. But they'll be attracted to the scents inside of here. Typically will crawl into there, and then they get kind of hung up in the water and moisture and sticky stuff that accumulates in there. So it's a very dramatic and crazy looking. Some people call them like a pitcher plant, right?
It's like that, similar to that. Yeah, it'll have water in the bottom of each of those. So
correct.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
But yeah, it works well as like a little hanging basket, hanging up over the sink. Just something kind of fun to look at.
Hanging basket and a fly trap. All right, feed me, Seymour. Okay.
See, there the water came
Yeah, I mean, that's right. It just did. All right, what is probably the biggest mistake people will make when they get a new plant home?
Being thrilled when they purchased it, got home, and it took them longer than they anticipated to plant it, and it got like dried out and stressed before they even got it planted. I'd say I see that a lot. You know, you're excited, you're buying plants, but then you know you're running other errands, and you get home, and then I'll get to this tomorrow, and maybe it's a couple days, and they've dried out and got stressed.
Wow, doesn't take long, does it?
Yeah, that's true. Not preparing the soil is number one. No matter whether it's an agave or whether it's an azalea, it has certain kinds of soils it's going to do best in, and so that's one. Number two is forgetting that all the roots are still in that cylinder after you put it in the ground, so watering where the roots are, especially during the heat we're having right now.
All right, and for indoor plants, I had a friend ask me the other day, she goes, I love indoor plants, but they all die on me. Succulents are a good choice, aren't they?
Correct, because they don't need tremendous amounts of water, and they don't need water every day. And same interior plants, once a week maybe they need water. So you got to keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
Right. I think more indoor plants die from overwatering than from underwatering too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so the woman we talked about earlier who said she needed a picture of her pine. Oh, this is a picture of a pine. What's this? Right?
Dying pine tree.
Dying. Oh, this is a woman who has a picture of a dying pine tree. What does that look like right there?
It's gone.
It's last right's time.
Yes.
That is firewood right now.
She can't say that.
On pines and junipers and cedars, when they lose the living needles, they can't resprout from there. Other trees, you can chop them up with a chainsaw and the sprouts come back out. But these, if you cut back or if you lose a living needle, it can't come back, and it's not going to sprout out of the bottom.
So if she had any other pine trees, I would get water running on them.
Okay,
And
Ralph,
like
you got
trickle
a
the
phone
hose
call.
and run it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Ralph is busy right now. He is, yes, he's working right now. Call him back later. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Hope you're happy plants. Thank you. All right, there we go. All right, we will be right back after this.
That's funny.
Getting a phone call.